Yo, we got a UFC Apex card coming up this weekend, and you know I got some bets down. Before I get into that, here's a quick recap of the last week. We had two events last week, had a PFL card, got a little bit of profit on it, but then on the UFC Vegas card, I lost 1.6. So for both of those events in total, I lost like zero point 0.5 units on that, which is, I don't like losing, but if I'm going to lose, I prefer to barely lose. So before I get into these bets, I just want to talk about this upcoming card. You got the UFC Vegas 109, Roman Dolidze versus Anthony Hernandez. And this seems like one of them cards that has a lot of traps on it, especially on the money lines. There's a lot of heavy favorites on this card. And I believe in most situations they should be the favorite, but not that big of a favorite. So just a warning, a heads up. I won't be having many money lines on this card because I just think they're just ridiculous and just way out there, especially for some unproven fighters. So with that said, let's get into my bets. We're starting off in the main event. We got Roman Dolidze and Anthony Hernandez going over 3.5 rounds. Minus 118 on the odds. I got 1.25 units on it. So this fight, I believe it's going to go the distance. I believe Anthony Hernandez will win by decision. I do think there's a possibility of a late finish for Hernandez, but I'm not really sure I'm going to bank on that. Now, if the fight ends before 3.5 rounds, I think it's going to be because Dolidze just lands some big shots early in the fight. But Hernandez is pretty durable for the most part, and if this fight gets out those first 2 rounds, I just see it clearing this easily. So I think the fight's going to go to a decision. I think Anthony Hernandez will win it, but I honestly could see Dolidze winning this fight. So that's what I'm taking. On the odds, I wasn't able to catch it at minus 110 is where I initially saw it. I wasn't able to get that in time, but the last I looked, this was at minus 130 in some places. So at minus 118, I still think there's some value in it. Let's go. Next bet, we got the co-main event. Steve Erceg, round 1 or 2. Plus 133, got 0.8 on that. So I just think with how O'Day Osborne fights, this fight should end in the first round or two, and I think Erceg has the skills to win the fight. I believe that's the way the fight will go, but there's always the possibility of the decision with Erceg. I think he's just kind of unpredictable in that way. But if Osborne fights how he normally fights, I think this fight will finish early, and I think Erceg will get the victory. Up next, I've got an underdog bet. Angela Hill money line plus 170. 0.75 on that. I just think this fight's basically like a 50-50 fight. So in that situation, I will go with the underdog at plus 170. And the last one for this set, we got a 2-leg parlay. We got Jean Matsumoto money line paired up with Eric Anders and Christian Leroy Duncan, CLD, going over 2.5 rounds. Now, I believe Matsumoto should win this fight. He's one of the few money lines that I agree with where it's at. I think his money line is actually kind of accurate compared to most of the money lines on this card. And for Eric Anders and CLD, I think this fight's going to the scorecards. Anders, he's pretty durable for the most part. He's only been finished twice in his career, but he has a lot of fights that go to a decision. And I'm just kind of banking on Anders being hard to put away in this fight. And I just see it going to the scorecards. And I do think there's a small possibility that Anders wins this fight, but I'm not going to bet on that. So I'm just going to take the over 2.5 rounds. Paired up with that Jean Matsumoto, got plus 113 on that, 0.9 of a unit on it. That's it for the straight bets and a parlay. Let's get into the long shots. Here's the long shots. We're kicking things off. We got the Andre Fili money line. I got it at plus 205 on the odds. Got half a unit on it. Yeah, I think he can win this fight. This is kind of one of them fights where I believe Rodriguez should be the favorite, but I think it's closer to a pick'em than him being that big of a favorite. So I'm going to take the underdog, Andre Feely, in this one. I think he can get it done. Next up, we got Jocelyn Edwards by submission. Plus 440, quarter of a unit on it. She's going up against Priscilla Cachoeira. And I don't know if you see Priscilla, she doesn't have a whole lot of fights that go to the scorecards, especially in the UFC. And she's been finished, plenty of times. She's got plenty of finishes. So I just believe there's a very good chance that Jocelyn Edwards gets a submission. And I'm going to do one even better. I'm going to go ahead and predict a round 3 submission for Jocelyn Edwards. I think it's going to be a late finish in this fight. And I just had to go with that submission because it is so juiced up at plus 440. And I think there's a decent chance that it happens. And then last up on the long shots, we got Gabriela Hernandez KO plus 180, 0.55 on that. So the woman she's up against has just got an awful, awful record. She's lost by KO like 4 or 5 times. She's only been submitted once, but she's a big submission artist. So I just think Gabriela Hernandez is going to be just too physical. I think she's going to be able to dominate this fight. And honestly, I have a hard time deciding on which way she's going to win the fight. So I just went with the KO. But I could see her winning this fight anyway. KO, sub, decision. I think Gabriela Hernandez wins this fight anywhere. So I'm going to bank on her getting the KO because her opponent has been KO'd 4 times already. And for those that have watched before, I like to put my long shots in a round robin doubles and a parlay. So on that round robin doubles, I'm going to have 3 bets at various odds. I'm going to have a quarter of a unit per bet. So that would be 0.75 for all 3 bets total. And so on that round robin, I will have the 3 legs from above: Andre Feely moneyline, Jocelyn Edwards submission, and Gabriela Hernandez KO. And basically, it's just going to double them up into 3 separate bets. And if only 2 of those hit, I will be able to, get a little bit of small profit from it, and I won't be losing. And then last up, we just got them all in a 3-leg parlay, plus 43.76 on the odds on that. Got a quarter of a unit on it. And if all 3 of these come through, we're looking at some big, big profit. But these are called long shots for a reason. So that's all my bets for this event. I've got 6 units at stake. And if everything hits, if all my bets come through and win, I'm looking at 27.5 units of profit. But as you all know, that's a long shot. So we got a lot of MMA coming up over the next few weeks. We got Dana White's Contender Series starting up on Tuesday. And so that'll be coming out weekly at this point. Then we got PFL on Friday next week. And then UFC 319 on Saturday, which is a big card. And then I think it's going to be the same schedule for the week after that too. So we got a whole lot of MMA coming up. I'll be back with some long form videos next week. I should be getting back on track, getting back on schedule. And yeah, going to talk about a lot of fights. Going to analyze these things and break them down. Hey, if you watch this, I appreciate you. And if you want to give a like or subscribe, I would appreciate that too. But honestly, it's all good either way. That's it for me. Until next time.